Well, I've been having a little bit of wrist pain lately, and my boy Trevor had a bunch of wrist pain not too long ago. Turned into a whole TFCC thing for him. So I asked him to send me a video, kind of walking through what happened there, so I could see if I got the same thing coming up here and hopefully try to get ahead of it. But before I bring out lame-ass modern-day Trevor, let me remind you what he was like 2 to 24 months ago. Keep it, come on, dude.
Guys, come on! Yes!
Not bad, right? Let's see how he's doing now.
Welcome. Cut.
Oh my gosh, he's so lame.
Welcome to Justin Connor's YouTube channel, where we are slowly becoming the nation's leading expert in climbing injuries and injury prevention.
Yeah, we're definitely not experts. I'd say we're the leading dummies in getting injured.
Not by choice, of course, but because our bodies are aging ever. Let's see, 2.5 months ago, I started feeling some odd pain near the ulnar side of my wrist.
Fancy boy over here using words like ulnar now.
Your pinky side.
That is where I've been noticing the pain, but it's mostly just been like while I'm working. And only on a couple of specific climbing moves, really.
At that connection point, there is the TFCC, which is the triangular fibrocartilaginous complex. And that connects your ulnar bone to your wrist bone, connected directly to your pinky tendon. One injury will affect the other. About 2.5 months ago, I started to experience some aggravation there. It mostly bothered me while I was at work, while I was moving the mouse, and climbing didn't seem to bother it.
Oh boy, well I guess I'd say that's where I was about 2 weeks ago. It was only bothering me while working and no pain while climbing, but within the last couple of weeks I have started to notice it. Only on a couple of particular moves.
And then about a month after, I had Memorial Day weekend and I went up to Rocky Mountain National Park, which is great for bouldering, and hit it hard all weekend, 3 days of just hard bouldering. And by the end of it all, I knew right then and there that I had a problem and it was not good.
This is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. I've been in this position before with other injuries in the past where I kind of know something's going on under the surface, but you choose to ignore it. I guess that's really why we're doing this video.
I had a lot of pain here at the ulnar side. It kind of radiated throughout the whole wrist, and then I just could feel it all the way up and through my pinky, and my pinky was just locked in a claw position. These 3 fingers were unaffected, but this pinky would not move unless I forcefully pulled it and pushed it out. And then even then, when I would do this, it would not just stay straight like that. I would straighten it out and it would just go right back to the claw. And it felt really weird. It was a very odd sensation all the way down to my wrist, and then the pain was in the wrist, but it was very odd, tingly, numbing sensation all the way up. June 1st, somewhere around that date, is where I couldn't move my pinky, a lot of pain in the wrist, basically couldn't do anything with my right hand. Picking anything up was just not gonna happen. Couldn't move my mouse at work, so it affected my work, affected everything. You'd be surprised how much you need your wrist until you don't have it anymore. Where's this injury come from? The main cause is a hard acute impact to that side of the wrist. That's how most people, non-climbers and some climbers, injure the TFCC complex. Overuse is the big one. That's kind of what hit me. I had an aggravation to it, and instead of stopping and starting physical therapy, I decided to climb really hard on it, and then I completely injured it.
I was almost completely done editing this video by the time it occurred to me that Caroline's friend Chelsea has also been dealing with this injury, and I thought she might want to contribute as well.
I'm bad at recording videos.
Then I thought about it even harder and decided against it. Just kidding. I don't know her all that well, so I can't really rip on her too hard yet.
Hi, my name is Chelsea. I'm a climber in Colorado, and I currently have a TFCC injury in my right wrist. I've always been really bad at stretching shoulders and wrists. I didn't even know you needed to stretch your wrists. Stretching fingers, been really bad about stretching. and I think that kind of caught up with me. I started noticing pain kind of like here on the other side, on the inside. I would say that I kind of dealt and tolerated that pain for probably 6 months or so, but towards the end of last year, it was really starting to bother me. And I just don't think I was taking care of my body in that way. I don't think I was like effectively stretching or preparing my body for what it kind of goes through when you're climbing. And I would be in the gym and I would hit, slopers like this, and I would have to immediately like let go and jump off because the impact of this would just shoot pain into this section of my wrist. What I do for a living is pretty wrist intensive. I work with kids. Even using a mouse, I can't do handstands or get into like typical positions for yoga because a lot of that pain is also happening when you're doing somewhat of like a mantle move, handstands, yoga, things like that. I couldn't really do those things that I really like enjoyed, but I just kept prioritizing climbing because, it's like climber syndrome. We gotta climb.
Okay, just to cover real quickly here, I've got these 3 things. The first one, this strappy wrist widget that Chelsea is wearing in the thumbnail.
I have a friend who helps with like wrist injuries and things like that for climbers around like the Denver area, and she had recommended like a widget, and this widget is all types messed up, which kind of goes over and then you tighten these little straps around and you straighten it out. Got a lot of cat hair in there.
Really not a good reason to just keep climbing if it's hurting. Like, you probably need some time off and some PT, but if you have some light pain, or you might think of it similar to taping for a pulley injury on your finger, it doesn't mean you can just go climb without it hurting more or getting injured worse, but it'll let you get in a little extra support, a little stability there, so that it's less likely to do that tilting or whatever and twisting in the way that's going to put more stress on that ulnar side.
Compress that when you're climbing or hitting those moves that would typically agitate it, so definitely like slopers and mantles were things that she told me to stay away from. And did I stay away from them? Let's just say I was stubborn, okay? And I didn't want to stop climbing.
Theoretically, you could do a little more climbing with that on. The more robust wrist brace here is mostly for just while you're sleeping, which may sound surprising, but I've actually had some use for this lately, and I think it is helping. At night, you could be getting just pure rest, recovery, relaxation on that wrist. During the day, you might be using it for climbing or working or just about everything else you're doing. But at night, if you end up in a weird position, like I'll find myself wake up with my wrist like cranked like this, or like back like that way, or like underneath my body. And if you're there for like a couple hours in the night like that, it could actually do quite a lot of irritation and damage over time. And if it's something already injured or recovering, you could be getting rid of your best potential recovery time, and instead it's getting you more injured. So put on a wrist guard while you sleep. It'll keep it aligned and keep you from doing crazy stuff with it where you end up in a weird position and maybe really hurt it. I also may wear it sometimes while I work, just to make me more cognizant of it and protected from, like, if my wrist is resting on the laptop, I find that kind of irritates it quite a lot, so I might use this for that. Otherwise, doctor told Trevor, really try not to use it, only if like you're in pain or if you're sleeping. So otherwise, lastly, I got this little like just fabric-y thing with the wrist strap around. I don't really recommend it. I think maybe if you're just like having some pain or discomfort, it's nice to have a bit of compression. And again, maybe it's a reminder, kind of like taping, that like you need to be careful with it, but it's not really, I don't know, I'm not really using it anymore. It didn't do a lot. I don't like the way it felt around the thumb.
I probably had a stage 1 or a stage 2 tear of that TFCC tendon, according to my doctor. I went to go see a hand specialist, one of the best in the state, for sure. Went to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Vanderbilt. Like his resume speaks for itself. Said, no, you don't need surgery, but it's gonna be about a 3 to 4 month time before I'm able to climb again, is what he told me. Which, if you know anything about me, you know that's about the worst thing you could possibly say to me. Climbing is kind of my life, and it's like definitely my passion. So that was definitely very depressing at the time.
Chelsea's been doing a lot better about stretching and doing some physical therapy sessions with her friend as well. But our boy Trevor's gone all out with the doctor visits and really got himself set up with some proper physical therapy too.
I got in to see him within a week of the injury, and then I started my physical therapy with a hand specialist who directly is connected to the doctor I seen. If you're going through this right now, just know that it's gonna take a while. I'm having to be really patient. I have been sport climbing, so have not been bouldering, but the hardest I've climbed to date was 2 days ago. I climbed an 11 BC on rope, and I felt it. I had to stop what I was doing, take on a bolt, and then finish out the route, and I didn't try to send it. I did climb an 11A right before it and felt no discomfort and no pain, so it's all about particular motions. Specifically, if you're climbing against my recommendation and the doctor's recommendation, just like me, specifically moves where you're deviating towards the ulnar side is gonna bother you. So, if you have a straight on crimp, you might notice that the pain is almost non-existent. That's my experience right now. If I have a straight on crimp, I pull really hard and I almost don't even notice the injury. But if I deviate the wrist and pull really hard on maybe a 45-degree crimp or a completely sideways crimp, and I'm deviating that ulnar side, I notice it almost immediately. Going this way is not gonna bother it nearly as much. It still does, because you're still, turning that TFCC complex, but this way specifically is hurting it. So one thing I've learned is that hand jams are almost like off limits. I cannot do a hand jam. I've tried it a couple times with my right hand, or just tested it. And as soon as I stick it in, lock it in a jam, and then turn it, it's do not put weight on me right now. And it makes it very clear. No weight. If you're a trad climber and you're dealing with this injury, you're gonna hate life for 3 to 4 months, because you're not allowed to hand jam, and you should not be hand jamming, just like me. I don't even plan on hand jamming for 3 to 4 months, because I know that the pain is just a little bit too much to handle.
Some wise counsel there on the hand jamming, but just to be safe, I'd probably give it 3 or 4 years.
Going forward, if you're dealing with this problem, you have this problem, right? If the pain is unbearable, you might need surgery. Go see a hand specialist, go see a doctor. Maybe you need an MRI. Basically, the doctor said, wait it out, do physical therapy. If you're still in rough shape in 8 weeks, then come back, we'll do an MRI. We'll go further, we'll do further assessments. You may be in that boat. If you're in unbearable pain and it hurts so much you can't even bear it, and 2 weeks goes by and you can't even use your wrist, then you might have a major issue. You might need to go get that corrected surgically. For anyone else who's maybe seen an improvement in the last 2 weeks, okay, I can move my pinky again, the wrist pain's not being unbearable, starting to feel better, well, I have good news for you then. We're ready to start physical therapy. We're ready to start working towards that. So then it's been about a month and a half, a little bit over a month and a half now. So June 1st, it's the date of this video is July 19th, and it's improved greatly. And I've been sticking to my physical therapy routine, maybe even a little bit too much. I noticed I kind of aggravated it a little bit, trying to push the physical therapy a little bit too much. You shouldn't feel more than 3 out of 10 pain during physical therapy or after your physical therapy exercises. You want to be feeling some pain and some discomfort, especially when it comes to a tendon injury, but you don't want to be feeling, oh my God, this really hurts, this is really bad, after your workout or during. If it's happening during, then you need to stop what you're doing and you need to dial it down.
Do I look like Inspector Gadget? I've been starting some proper rehab, or what you might call prehab, over the last few days, because I haven't had a catastrophic failure quite yet. But I'm going to be sticking to a proper prehab plan here and put up a vid maybe in the next few weeks or a month with the exercises we're using and a progress update as well. So you can hang up now.
Hey, I didn't film it in vertical this time. Filmed it the right way.